In this video, we again want to squish together two data tables, but now they have a different structure. In particular, this table right here has 5 rows, and I've got a person ID, and this person ID is a unique identifier that identifies individual people. And then I've got some contact information for each one of those people. Now up in this data set, I have information about each of those people. So here are again my people that I'm interested in, and now the information that I have for them is their first name, last name, birthday, and you could imagine there being social security numbers or student IDs or something else in here. But for the data set that we've just got a couple of pieces of information. Now notice one of the things that we've got is in this data set, I've got information for contact information for person 1, person 2, and person 3. And it's all tied up in this person ID category, which I also have over here. I've got a column for person ID. Now notice I've got information for person 1 and person 2, nothing for person 3, and I've got a new person, person 4. And I want to think about how do I squish this information together, but instead of sort of stacking information to add rows, what I want to do is I want to add the columns. So what I'd like to do is for each one of these people, I'd like to end up with a column that is the contact information. So the contact type and the contact value for each one of these people. So the way that we're going to do this is we are going to, again, take these two data sets, and I'm going to take it and I'm going to lay it on top of this, and now we see that we've got two options, right? We've already done union, which is adding rows together where it's the same structure. Now I'm going to do this join, where this is basically making more columns, so joining things together by columns. And so I'm going to do this, and this is our result. Now the way that we want to look at this is when it joined these two tables together, it looked at it and said, oh, look, there's a column named person ID in this blue data set, and there's also a column named person ID in this green data set, and that's how we're going to squish those together, is to say that the information in that person ID is the key that allows us to join these two things together. So what I've got is I've got information for person 1, I've got his Twitter account and his email, that's me actually, and likewise I've got my wife and her email account as well. Now over here we've got some information. So this is looking at my data set 1, where it said, oh look, you've got person 1, person 2, and oh, there's this person 4, but they're red. And they're red because there wasn't a person 4 over in this second data set, in the green data set. And likewise, there was a person 3 that wasn't there as well. So right now, the output result is this data set where it only includes a row if that person ID was in both data sets. So in the two data sets, both Derek and Aubrey were in both data sets. So let's go look at this. So Derek, who's person 1, is in this one. Aubrey is also in this one. And when we go and look at the one that we had, we also have Derek and Aubrey, but Casey's now in there too. All right, cool. So these are rows that are in both data sets. Now this join type right here, this is saying that we're only going to include values or if they happen to be in both data sets. So this is the inner part of that join. So this is the intersection between these two data sets. Now if I were to go and click on this, this would say to include rows that occur in data set 1, regardless of whether or not they occur in data set 2. So this will include all the rows in your first data set. So now what we have is in my first data set, I've got Casey and his information in here because he was in the people table, but he doesn't have any contact information. And so it justifiably just throws null information in there and says, I don't know what his Twitter, I don't know what contact information, we don't have anything, but you told me to include them because we chose to do what's going to be called a left join by forcing us to include that information. Now, if I were to go and click on this other side, this would say, oh, for any of the contact information, include it in there even if you don't have the first name and the last name and birthday for that person. So we're going to go in here, and now we have more information where we've got now information for Elise, but now we don't have her first name or last name or birthday. And so this was going to be called an outer join, where you include a row regardless of whether or not it was just in the first one or just in the second one. You include all the rows. And so we have 6 rows here. In general, we probably are going to typically be doing inner joins. That'll probably be the most common version of these things. But there are situations where you might want to include information that is in one table but not in the other.